Hello and welcome to today's lecture on simulation of service business under the module of Stats the Way to Do It. Stats the Way to Do It is our new module which will be having a series of lectures based on statistics and role of statistics in business decision making. So, I welcome you all for today's lecture. It is on simulation of service business with using a technique called Monte Carlo simulation. You must be knowing Monte Carlo simulation is a mathematical technique that predicts the possible outcomes of uncertain event. So in service business there may be many uncertain events which the person planning a business may or may not consider. So Monte Carlo simulation provides a utility to the planner about considering the uncertain events which may occur in service business. So agenda of today's lecture will be simulation of service business, then Monte Carlo simulation, then we will have one example case and we will try to interpret the results of Monte Carlo simulation for business data decision making. So, why the simulation of service business is needed? So, business process simulation is the analysis and experimentation of a business in a virtual environment. So, what we are going to do in this particular simulation is, let's say there is a service business. So, there will be a serving counter. The activity of serving will take some time. So, it can be the service time. And why we are doing the simulation? Because the alternative for simulation is real life mimicking of the scenario, which will have a lot of investment. So simulation basically saves the money and effort of actual physical testing. So service business is all about serving the customer with minimum possible service time. Why I said minimum possible? Because the service is required by the customer with some standard and expectation also. So we cannot reduce the time beyond limit. So we are saying that we will give the best possible service with minimum possible service time. So customer here needs a quality service quickly and with good customer experience. So two types of model are basically used for such kind of simulation. Deterministic model, in which the certainty part of the probable events is more, and the probabilistic model considers the uncertainty part. So we are much more interested in probabilistic model of simulation. One example is given. So if you are driving to your workplace from your residence, the time can not always be deterministic. Yes, based on the distance, your time from residence to office is fixed, but because of traffic conditions and other uncertain events, this time will always be probabilistic. Same as we do in project management. So, one can be the pessimistic time, one can be the optimistic time, and there can be a most likely time which consider all the probabilities of uncertain events. So basically, Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model, and four types of details are covered under this model. So arrival time of customers, service time taken by the server to serve the customer with a good customer experience, waiting time for service. Definitely, when there will be a service going on, some customers may be waiting outside, so there can be a queue, possibility of queue. So waiting time for service, and sometimes there can be some idle time of server also. So person serving may have to wait for some time if the customer arrival is slower than the service time. So let us discuss few points about Monte Carlo simulation. So it is used to model the probability of different outcomes in a process that cannot easily be predicted due to intervention of random variables. So as I said, it is a probabilistic model. It covers all the uncertain events which may occur during the actual implementation of service. So this is a technique which is used to understand the impact of risk and uncertainty. Here there are few steps which are to be followed while conducting the Monte Carlo simulation. So number one is setting up a probability distribution for important variables, then building a cumulative probability distribution for each variable, establishing an interval of random numbers for that variable, then generating the random numbers, and then simulating a series of trials. Now trials here means a possible outcomes. So if we talk about tossing a coin, two possibilities are there. So one may be head, second is tail, and there is one hypothetical possibility that coin will stand still on the ground. So all the three events covers all the uncertainty. So that is called as simulating a series of trial. Now let us see with one example case in which we are going to simulate the office of one lawyer, renowned lawyer, and the technique we will use for this is Monte Carlo simulation. So let me read the case. A renowned lawyer in a town is crowded with clients. The following summary shows the various category of services, their probabilities, and time actually needed to complete the work. So the table shows types of service provided by the lawyer, service time for each kind of service, and the probability of every service. So this is the probability of customers coming for that particular service. So you can see 20% probability of the customer is that he will come for taking a consultation, right? So our aim is to simulate the lawyer's office for the first 4 hours beginning from 8 a.m. morning, and some set of random numbers are provided. But if in such case we don't have a random number, by using a scientific calculator or just by MS Excel, we can generate number of random numbers we need for Monte Carlo simulation. And what we will find from this case is average waiting time for the clients and idleness of lawyer, if any. Now it is we are not sure that the clients which will be coming in simulation will have to wait, or the lawyer will be really idle or not. So the task is to simulate this lawyer's office for first 4 hours. Now what are the steps? Number one, we will find the cumulative probability, and from cumulative probability we will form the range of random numbers. So we can understand that the random number will come in which range. So this is the initial table given. As I said, the service is given, service time is given, and probability was given. So what can we do? We can find the cumulative probability. Now how we find the cumulative probability? The first reading remains same, that is 0.20. Then we will going to add the next probability and getting the cumulative one. So 0.20 plus 40 we will get 60. 60 plus 15 we will get 75. 75 plus 15 we will get 90, and 90 plus 10 we will get 1. This is cumulative probability. Now how we will find the random number range? So it is always 1 less than this probability. The first range of random number will be 0 to 19. You can see 1 less than 0.20. Then 20 to 59, 1 less than 60. Then 60 to 74, 1 less than 75. Similarly, 75 to 89 and 90 to 100. So in this way we get the cumulative probabilities and random number range. Now we will use this range to assign the random numbers, and we will find out the client is coming for which kind of service. So from the given random numbers, we will find out in what range they fit, and from that range, we will find that the client is coming for which kind of service out of these five. So here for the reference, I have service, service time, and random number range. So in case 1, we are assuming that there is no waiting time for the clients. This situation may be hypothetical, but let us consider it that the client is coming coincidentally just at the end of the service of a previous client. I will explain it later. So these are my random numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 random numbers are given. So I have to check one by one that these random numbers belong to which range. Now look carefully. Look at the laser pointer. 40. 40 is the first random number. I have to see in which range it lies. So it lies between 20 to 59. So my service and service time will be documentation, and service time will be 45. Then similarly for the next random number 82, it will lie between 75 to 89. So the service will be argument and time will be 15. Similarly, by checking the every random number, it falls in which range, we will derive the possible services for which the clients are coming. So this is the simulation that all the 8 clients are coming for these services and the service times are shown in this particular column. Now we will start simulating. Now keep one thing in mind that we are considering in time of every client coincidentally without waiting. So once the out time of the first customer will be the in time of the second customer. This is our assumption in this case. Okay. So we have to simulate the office starting from 8 a.m. So starting with the first client who came for documentation for 45 minutes, in time will be 8 a.m. Out time will be 8 plus 45 service, it will be 8:45. And as I said, we are assuming there is no waiting time for the client. Coincidentally, the second client is coming at 8:45. So waiting time is 0. Obviously, the first customer will have no waiting time, and idleness of lawyer at the start of the day will also be 0. Now second customer is coincidentally coming at 8:45. The service time is 15 minutes. So the service will last up to 9. Here also waiting time will be 0, idleness will be 0. Similarly, third customer will come at 9. The service time is 15, so service will last up to 9:15. Waiting time 0, idle time 0. We continue this process for all the 8 customer like this. Now last customer you can see is we have to simulate the lawyer's office for only first 4 hours. So from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Now you can see the seventh customer in a queue will be coming at 11:45, and for 15 minutes of service his services will end at 12. So 8 customer who arrived at 12 will remain unattended as per the given condition because the lawyer's office is open only for first 4 hours. Now here from this table you can understand the waiting time will be the difference of previous customer out time and next customer in time. As per our assumption, as the customer's in time is coincidentally equal to previous customer out time, all the waiting times are zero. And in this scenario, you can see the lawyer was not idle for a single minute throughout the process for the first 4 hours. So total waiting time is also zero in this case, and idle time of lawyer is also zero. Right. So this is the case when we are assuming that there is no waiting time for clients. So here average waiting time is total waiting time upon number of clients. So it is zero. Idleness of lawyer is zero. Now the solution is for the first 4 hours, total available time will be 240 minutes. So you can clearly see from this table that the seventh client service ended at 12 noon and the office is closed. So we can say that the eighth customer is remain unattended in this case. So this is the case when we are assuming that coincidentally every client is coming at the end of the service of previous client. But the real case may not be like this. So our case number 2 is the lawyer has given the appointment in 30-minute slot to every client. Now here all of the things will remain same because our random numbers are same. So the clients are coming for the same kinds of services and the service time are also shown here. But the thing is, in time of every client is in the gap of 30-minute slot. So here one more column is added, in time of the client and actual start time of the service of the client. In previous case, these both the columns were same. So in time will be in the gaps of 30 minutes. So every client is provided appointments like this. First at 8, second at 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30. And now we will start our simulation. So first client will start at 8. The service will end at 8:45. As this is the first client, the waiting time will be 0, idleness will be 0. Now, the second client, the service will start not before 8:45 and the client has already come at 8:30. So the service will start at 8:45 and the 15-minute service will end at 9. But here the client number 2 will have to wait for 15 minutes. So waiting time has come into the picture. And as there is no gap and relief for the lawyer, so idle time again will be 0. So the third client has already arrived at 9 and the second client service ended at 9. So luckily he got the immediate service at 9. It ended up to 9:15 and here luckily there is no waiting time for the third client and idleness of lawyer is still 0. Now next, fourth client is will be arriving at 9:30 and service is already ended at 9:15. So here the service will start at 9:30 and it will end up to 45 minutes, so 10:15. Here waiting time of client is 0 but lawyer has to wait for 15 minutes. So the idle time of lawyer is 15 minutes. Next, the client will come at 10 and service ended at 10:15. You can see here. So the service will start at 10:15 for 45 minutes, so up to 11, and there is again a waiting time of 15 minutes. The idleness of lawyer in this case will be 0. Then here the service ended at 11. A client has already come at 10:30. So service will start. It will last up to 1 hour and 30 minutes waiting time to the sixth client. Again the idleness of lawyer is 0. Next is consultation, the seventh client. He came at 11. The service can start from 12, but the office will close at 12. So the last two clients will be unattended, but there will be a waiting time of 1 hour. And for the last client, there will be a waiting time of 30 minutes. Though they are unattended, but they were waiting till 12 p.m. So the waiting time we have to consider. Now the total waiting time here becomes 150 and idle time of the lawyer becomes 15. So in this case, what are our results? The average waiting time will be total waiting time upon number of clients. So there is average waiting time of 18.75 minutes. And idleness of lawyer for the first 4 hours of the office is 15 minutes. So we can say that for the first 4 hours, the lawyer is getting a relief of 15 minutes in this simulation. So the clients will have to wait around 18.75 minutes before the service, and lawyer will be idle for 15 minutes. And in this scenario, two clients will remain unattended in this case. So in this way, through Monte Carlo simulation, we are able to simulate the service business, and accordingly we can make some business decisions like increasing the number of counters, having some parallel way of serving the client, and other business decision in this particular scenario. So thank you. I hope you get a good insights from this lecture. If you like this, share, comment, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.